A sudden urban downpour fell like a curse, transforming the bustling streets of the city into a muddy mess. Emily Harper rushed through the crowd, her worn-out sneakers sinking into puddles each step, a reminder of the irredeemable lateness. Her heart pounded not just from running in the rain, but from the anxiety gnawing at every cell in her body. "I can't be late anymore," she thought. Her breath ragged, blending with the scent of wet earth and the lingering fumes of buses from her late shift. The shift at Sally's diner had gone longer than expected, with picky customers demanding more coffee and burnt toast, forcing her to stay behind and clean up. And now the delayed bus had pushed her into a dilemma. In that moment of running, childhood, memories flooded her mind like an old faded film, blurry yet painfully vivid. Emily clearly remembered the day her father left, when she was just 12 years old, leaving behind an empty house in the suburbs and a mother battling the cruel disease of arthritis. Mrs. Harper, with trembling hands and a smile that always tried to hide the pain, had become Emily's only pillar. "You have to be strong, Emily," she would often say, her voice frail yet resolute, "to pay off mounting medical bills." Emily dropped out of college, choosing to serve during the day and work at a bookstore at night. Her dreams of an education degree and a small book cafe where children could read for free and receive tutoring seemed to grow more distant by the day. Her inner turmoil was a storm exhaustion mixed with fragile hope. "It's just a blind date," she told herself, trying to push away the fear of opening up to a stranger. But deep down, Emily longed for a change, a spark in her monotonous life full of responsibilities. When she finally pushed open the door to Chez Michel, a fancy restaurant with warm golden lighting and the tempting smell of French cuisine, Emily felt like an outsider. The navy dress she bought at a discount store clung to her body, but in the rain it had become a mess, her long black hair tied in a hasty ponytail now tangled. She glanced at the mirror in the restroom, reassuring herself, "I can do this. Sarah said this guy is perfect." Sarah Mitchell, her best friend from high school, had arranged this date with an irresistible, enthusiastic tone. "David Klein is a steady accountant, not a billionaire, but at least he's not bankrupt like your car." Sarah had laughed on the phone, trying to convince Emily to step out of her lonely shell. Sarah was always like that, funny, quick-witted, with the ability to turn everything into a joke to ease the anxiety. "You need a bit of romance, Emily. Life's not just about bills and overtime shifts." Emily took a deep breath, quickly applied the cheap lipstick Sarah insisted suited her skin, then stepped out. The restaurant manager, with an eyebrow raised in skepticism at her disheveled appearance, directed her, "Table 14 in the back, miss." Her heart raced faster as she squeezed through tables full of couples dressed in smart attire, sipping expensive wine. This guy must be wealthy to choose a place like this. She thought, a slight inferiority creeping in. As a waitress with minimum wage and a bookstore employee dealing with more demanding books than money, Emily wondered if she was ever truly meant for someone successful. She spotted table 14, or at least the one she thought was 14, where a man sat with his back turned, broad-shouldered, in an expensive suit. "I'm sorry I'm late," Emily said hurriedly, sliding into the seat opposite, trying to keep her voice calm. "The bus was—" Her words caught in her throat when she saw his face. He was unexpectedly handsome, his square jawline, warm brown eyes, and a smile that made her heart skip a beat. Not at all the bald accountant Sarah had described. Emily's mind spun. This isn't David. But he's too attractive. The man smiled, his deep voice soothing. "It's all right, I just got here too." Emily blinked, trying to process the situation. She should stand up and explain the mix-up. But his smile, his eyes acted like a magnet, anchoring her in place. The waiter arrived with a bottle of wine. "The Chat Margot you ordered, sir." Alex, as he introduced himself later, nodded and then looked at Emily. "I hope you like red wine." Emily nodded, still trying to gather her thoughts. "He thinks I'm his date." She thought, a mix of guilt and excitement. She should say something, but then he asked her name and the conversation began. "I'm Alexander Thorne. Alex for short," he said, shaking her hand. His grip was firm, warm, sending an electric shiver down her spine. "Emily Harper," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. They talked like old friends, not strangers. Emily shared about her 2 jobs, working at Sally's Diner with difficult customers and at Cornerstone Books, where she immersed herself in the world of books. "It's exhausting," she admitted, "but I love books. They're like friends helping me forget the bills and broken car." Her inner self was filled with surprise. Why am I telling him all this to a stranger? But Alex listened, really listened without judgment. He asked about her dreams. "If money were no object, what would you do?" Emily smiled, a little shy. "I'd finish my education and become a teacher, and open a small book cafe where kids can read drink-free cocoa and get help with their homework." Alex's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing. The best ideas start with dreams." Alex shared about himself, his voice thoughtful. "I grew up under pressure from my family. My father always pushed me into business, but I wanted to find my own path." Emily sensed the loneliness in his words, a loneliness she knew all too well. "He's not arrogant," she thought, her heart softening. Then a humorous moment occurred. As Emily reached for her glass of wine, her hand trembled with nervousness, spilling a little on Alex's suit. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, her face turning red as she grabbed a napkin to wipe it. Alex laughed heartily, not angry. "It's okay, maybe this is your way of baptizing our evening." His hand brushed hers for a moment, a spark that left them both silent, their gazes meeting with unspoken meaning. Emily's inner self was in turmoil. What is this feeling? Why is my heart racing? The conversation flowed naturally, forgetting the time. Emily talked about her mother in Florida, whose health had improved thanks to the warm weather, though medical concerns still lingered. Alex nodded sympathetically. "Family is everything. My sister is the person I care about most, but the pressure from my parents makes everything complicated." Emily felt a connection, a rare connection in her lonely life. "He sees me, really sees me," she thought, warmth spreading within her. Then Emily's phone buzzed. A message from Sarah. "David said you didn't show up. Are you okay?" Emily's heart sank. She looked around and realized this was table 15, not 14. "Oh my God," she whispered, her face burning. "Is something wrong?" Alex asked, concerned. Emily stammered, I think I'm at the wrong table. I was supposed to meet someone named David at table 14. Alex was surprised, then laughed heartily, not mocking, but with genuine joy. "So, you're not Victoria, the investor my cousin set up?" Emily covered her face. "No, I'm just Emily, the waitress who can't read the table numbers." When she peeked through her fingers, Alex was still smiling. "Well then, Emily, maybe this is the best mistake of my life. Finish your wine and tell me more about your book cafe." Emily hesitated, but that smile, those eyes made her stay. Her inner self was a whirlwind of emotions, fear mixed with excitement. Is this fate or just a crazy evening? Either way, she knew tonight had changed everything. The rain kept falling, the cold droplets streaming down the windows of Chez Michel, like they were trying to pull Emily Harper back into the harsh reality. She sat across from Alexander Thorne. Alex, as he had told her to call him, with a glass of shimmering red wine in hand, his gaze like a small flame warming her turbulent heart. Emily's inner world was a battle, the excitement from an easy conversation with a stranger mixed with the embarrassment of knowing she was at the wrong table. And now, through Sarah's text messages, she realized he wasn't just any man. Alex was Alexander Thorne, CEO of Thorne Enterprises, a billionaire whose name had appeared in business magazines she'd skimmed through at Cornerstone Books. He's a billionaire, and I'm just a waitress with cheap lipstick. She thought, her fingers gripping the glass tightly, trying to suppress the self-doubt rising like waves in the sea. Are you all right? Alex asked, his deep voice and brown eyes seemingly seeing right through her. Emily jolted, offering a forced smile. Yeah, just a bit dizzy from the mix-up. She tried to keep her voice light, but inside there was a storm. I should leave. This isn't where I belong. But before she could stand, the waiter returned, placing a delicate appetizer on the table, grilled lobster, with garlic butter sauce, its aroma irresistible, making her stomach growl despite her nervousness. I ordered this before you arrived, Alex said, pushing the plate toward her. Try it. I bet you've never had lobster here. Emily smiled softly, his sincerity making her hesitate. She took a bite, the sweet flavor melting on her tongue, and in that moment, she forgot about the differences between them. They continued talking as naturally as if they had known each other for years. Alex asked about Emily's favorite books, and she eagerly spoke of Jane Eyre, the story of a girl overcoming adversity. I love how Jane never gives up on herself even when the world turns its back, she said, her eyes bright. Alex nodded thoughtfully, his voice pensive. I understand. I've felt like I was trapped in a world that wasn't truly mine. He shared about the pressure from his family, especially his father, a strict man who always wanted him to be the perfect image of a CEO. A flashback appeared in Alex's mind, lonely nights in his cold mansion, when he was a 15-year-old boy sitting by the window, looking at the city lights, dreaming of one day living by his own heart. I built Thorne Enterprises successfully, he said, but sometimes I wonder, is that really what I wanted? Emily felt the loneliness in his voice, a loneliness she knew all too well. He's not just a billionaire, she thought, her heart softening. He's searching for something real, too. Suddenly, the restaurant door flung open, and a woman walked in, drawing everyone's attention. Victoria Langford, with her shiny blonde hair, a black form-fitting dress, accentuating her perfect curves, and expensive high heels, clicking sharply on the wooden floor. She walked straight to their table, her smile sharp as a knife. Alex, darling, she said, her voice sweet but calculating. Sorry I'm late. Terrible traffic. Emily felt her heart tighten. This must be his real date, she thought, feeling like an intruder. She stood up, stammering, I should go. Maybe I'm in the wrong place. But Alex gently but firmly took her hand, his gaze hardening as he looked at Victoria. Victoria, I'm having dinner with Emily. I think you've missed your chance, he said coldly, leaving no room for argument. Victoria raised an eyebrow, her eyes scanning Emily like assessing an object. I understand, she said, her smile never fading, but her gaze as cold as ice. Enjoy yourself, Alex. She turned to leave, but Emily felt a chill in the air, as though a storm was brewing behind that smile. Emily pulled her hand away, her face burning. I really should go. This was a mistake. She stood up, her heart pounding, feeling like the whole restaurant was watching her. Emily, wait, Alex called, but she had already dashed for the door, the rain slapping her face like cold slaps. She ran down the sidewalk, her dress soaked, tears mingling with the rain. Inside, she was a tangled mess of emotions. What was I thinking? Someone like him will never belong to someone like me. But then the sound of an engine roared, and a sleek black Bentley pulled up beside her, the window rolling down. "Emily, get in the car," Alex said, his voice both firm and concerned. She hesitated, but the cold rain and the sincerity in his eyes made her step inside. Inside the car, the scent of leather and Alex's masculine cologne enveloped her, making her shiver not just from the cold. "You don't need to run," Alex said, handing her a towel from the back seat. "I don't want you to think I'm taking advantage of this situation." Emily wiped her hair, trying to keep her voice steady. "You don't understand, Alex. You and I'm just a waitress. We're from two different worlds." Alex looked at her, his gaze intense. "My world isn't as interesting as you think. I'm tired of people like Victoria who only see my money and status. You're different. You're real." His words hit her heart like an arrow, making her want to believe but also fear. "Do I dare?" she wondered, her fingers tightening around the towel. The car stopped in front of a small park, the rain still falling but lighter now, creating shimmering circles on the surface of the pond. Alex opened the door and led her out. "Walk with me for a while," he said, not as a demand, but an invitation. They walked under the trees, the rain lightly falling on their hair and shoulders. Alex shared more about himself, about his beloved sister, about the times he tried to escape the shadow of his father. Emily inadvertently shared about her mother, about the difficult times when she was ill, and her dream of the book cafe. "I want children to have a safe place where they can dream," she said, her voice trembling with passion. Alex stopped looking at her under the dim streetlight. "You remind me that there are still beautiful things in the world," he said, his voice low as a whisper. Then, as if caught in an irresistible moment, Alex took her hand, pulling her closer. The rain rolled down her cheek, cold as ice, but the warmth from him made her forget everything. "Can I kiss you?" he asked, his gaze like fire. Emily didn't speak, only nodded, her heart pounding. His kiss was gentle yet intense, as if the whole world melted away, leaving only their breaths intertwining and the sweetness of the rain. Her inner self exploded. "Is this real, or just a dream that will vanish when I wake up?" When they parted, Alex smiled. "I don't know if this is a mistake or fate, but I want to get to know you more, Emily Harper." She smiled for the first time tonight, feeling lighthearted. "All right, but I warn you, I'm an expert at spilling wine," she said. Alex laughed loudly, pulling her into a hug. But as they turned back toward the car, Emily's phone buzzed. A call from her mother, her voice trembling on the other end. "Emily, there's something about your father. We need to talk." Emily's heart sank, a bad premonition passing through her. "Is fate playing tricks on me?" She thought, her eyes still fixed on Alex, who was looking at her with genuine concern. Tonight, she knew, had opened a new door, but whether it led to light or darkness, she wasn't sure. The morning sunlight filtered through the thin curtains of the small apartment, gently waking Emily Harper from a restless sleep. She lay on the bed, her hand unconsciously touching her lips, where the taste of the kiss in the rain still lingered like a sweet dream. Her inner world was a whirlpool of emotions, excitement mixed with anxiety, as if her heart were dancing on a thin string between reality and fantasy. "Alexander Thorne, a real billionaire," she whispered, shaking her head at the absurdity of it all. Last night, after that kiss, he had driven her home in his luxury car, his hand gripping hers, as if he never wanted to let go. "I'll call you," he had promised, his warm brown eyes making her trust him. But now, in her cramped room with a pile of bills stacked on the table, Emily wondered, Is this the beginning of a love story or just a fleeting moment in his life? The shift at Sally's diner started like any other with the smell of freshly brewed coffee and the clinking of silverware. Emily tied her apron trying to focus on the work, but her mind kept drifting back to that kiss, the cold taste of the rain mingling with his warmth. Martha, an older colleague with a warm smile, noticed the change. "You look happier than usual today, Emily. Something special going on?" Emily forced a smile and shook her head. "Just had a good night's sleep." But inside her heart was dancing. Did he call, or has he forgotten? Then, as if fate answered, the door of the diner opened, and a delivery boy entered with a bouquet of bright lilies, her favorite flowers, though she had never told anyone. Attached to the card, "Counting down to noon today. Meet you at the Central Park, Alex." Emily's heart raced, a wave of warmth spreading through her. "He remembers." She thought her cheeks flushed as her colleague Lisa teased, "Oh, what's the secret? Is someone chasing after our Emily?" The downtown park at noon was a vibrant portrait of autumn yellow leaves falling gently to the ground, birds chirping in the distance, and the cool air adding a romantic touch to everything. Emily arrived early, her old coat hugging her body, her heart pounding with nervous excitement. She wondered if he would show up, or if this was just a game of fate. Then Alex appeared, looking sharp in his suit, but without the tie, looking more relaxed than ever. "You're here," he said, his smile lighting up his face. They began walking, their hands brushing lightly, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Emily's heart fluttered. Why is everything so easy with him, as if we've known each other forever? They talked about their interests, and Emily eagerly shared her passion for classic poetry. "I love Wordsworth," she said, her voice full of enthusiasm. "His poems about nature, the simplicity amidst life's chaos. They help me forget the worries of everyday life." Alex listened intently, his eyes sparkling. "I'm into technology, but sometimes I get tired of it. The numbers, the meetings, they make me forget what real life is." He stopped beside a bench, pulling her down to sit. "Tell me more about your dream." "The book cafe." Emily smiled, describing it in detail. "A cozy place with colorful bookshelves, comfy sofas, and kids could come after school. I'd help them with homework, read stories so they'd know that dreams aren't far away." Alex looked at her, his voice warm. "You have a beautiful heart, Emily. Not many people dare to dream big like that in tough circumstances." In that moment, Emily's phone rang, breaking the peaceful atmosphere. It was her mother, her voice weak on the other end. "Emily, darling, I need to talk about your father. He had a huge debt before he left. I didn't want you to worry, but recently someone has been calling to demand payment. I'm afraid it might affect you." Emily felt her world crumble. Her inner self was a storm. Debt. Why is she telling me this now? I've tried to forget about Dad, forget those wounds. She tried to keep her voice steady. "Don't worry, Mom, I'll handle it." But when she hung up, tears rolled down her cheeks. Alex, sitting beside her, had overheard, gently taking her hand. "Emily, are you all right?" She shook her head, her voice trembling. "My father. He left, leaving behind debts. I'm afraid of money, afraid it will ruin everything, like it ruined my family." Alex embraced her, the warmth from him feeling like a solid support. "I understand," he whispered. "I've been deceived by love for money. A girl I thought was real love, but she only wanted my wallet. It made me doubt everything." His words were awkward, but full of sincerity, making Emily laugh through her tears. "So we're both wounded, huh?" Alex laughed too. "Yeah, But maybe that's why we found each other. The afternoon passed in laughter and deep conversations. They bought ice cream from a street vendor, and Alex intentionally dropped some on his nose to make Emily laugh. "You're so clumsy," she teased, wiping it off with a tissue. Inside, she felt a rare sense of peace. With him, I don't need to pretend. He sees me, really sees me. As the evening came, Alex drove her to the diner for her evening shift, promising, "See you tomorrow." Emily nodded, her heart filled with hope. But at Sally's diner, the atmosphere shifted. Lisa, the young colleague with an envious smile, whispered, "I heard you're dating a rich guy." "Be careful, Emily. People like that just play around." Martha jumped in, defending, "Don't listen, Emily. If he makes you happy, then go for it." But the teasing made Emily's insecurities rise. Her inner self was torn. Which world do I belong to? Does he see me as enough? She worked in a daze serving customers, but her mind was lost in thoughts of Alex. Late at night, after her shift at the bookstore, Emily received a message from Alex. "Thank you for a wonderful afternoon. Sleep well, dream about your cafe." She smiled, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. But then the memory of her mother's call returned, making her anxious. "Dad's debt. I can't let it pull me back. But with Alex, am I ready to open up?" Under the sparkling night sky through the window, Emily hugged her pillow, whispering, "You've made me afraid to fall, Alex." What she didn't know was that in his lavish penthouse, Alex was also thinking of her, his heart feeling alive for the first time in years. "She's different," he thought, a smile on his lips. The sweet days had just begun, but secrets and first joys were already entwined, promising an emotional journey ahead. The dazzling chandelier lights in the Grand Meridian Ballroom shone like stars, but to Emily Harper they felt like needles pricking at her wildly beating heart. She stood before the mirror in her small apartment, the teal evening gown, a surprising gift from Sarah Mitchell. Hugging her body, highlighting her fair skin and long black hair that Sarah had carefully styled into soft waves. "You look like a princess," Sarah exclaimed, her eyes sparkling mischievously. But inside Emily was a storm. "I don't belong here. A charity gala with rich people, I'll make a fool of myself." She took a deep breath, trying to push away the fear that was tightening around her chest. Alex Thorne had invited her to this event, calling it an opportunity for you to step into the world for a bit. His words were sincere, but Emily couldn't stop thinking about the gap between them. Him, a billionaire with a glowing aura, and her, a waitress with worn-out shoes and a dream still unshaped. Sarah, with her usual explosive energy, pulled Emily out of her dark thoughts. "Stop worrying, Emily. Alex is crazy about you, and you look so beautiful you'll make everyone jealous." She adjusted Emily's dress straps, added a bit of gloss to her lips, and winked. "Just imagine you're Cinderella, just don't lose your shoe." Emily laughed, but the smile was fragile. Inside, she was torn. "He sees me, truly sees me. But what if no one else does? What if I'm not enough?" Memories of her father who abandoned their family due to debt resurfaced, making her feel as if she were standing on thin ice. But then Alex's image appeared, his warm smile, his gaze that seemed to see into her soul, and she grasped Sarah's hand tightly. "Okay, I'll give it a try." When Alex's car stopped in front of her apartment, Emily stepped out, her heart pounding. He stood there perfect in a black tuxedo, his hair neatly styled, but still carefree. "Emily," he said, his deep voice filled with surprise, "you look so beautiful, I forgot my lines." She blushed, trying to hide her embarrassment with a smile. "Don't say that, I'll spill something." Alex laughed heartily, took her hand, and the warmth from him soothed her. In the car, he spoke about the gala, a charity event for underprivileged children, which made Emily feel closer to him. "I'm doing this because you reminded me of the things that truly matter," he said, his gaze sincere. Emily's heart swelled. He's not just a billionaire. He has a heart. The Grand Meridian Ballroom was another world. Tables covered with white silk cloths, sparkling champagne glasses, and people dressed in opulence speaking with polite but cold voices. Emily felt like a sparrow lost among swans. Alex introduced her to a few people, but their eyes, curious evaluating, made her want to shrink. Then Elizabeth Thorne, Alex's mother, appeared. She was regal in a dark green gown, her silver hair styled in an elegant bun, but her gaze was icy as she looked at Emily. "So, this is the girl Alex has mentioned," she said, her voice steady but full of implication. "What do you do, Miss Harper?" Emily swallowed hard, trying to keep her voice steady. "I work as a waitress and a bookstore clerk, ma'am." Elizabeth raised an eyebrow, her smile as thin as a blade. "Interesting. A very humble profession." Emily's insides twisted. "She thinks I'm not worthy, I knew it." Cousin Ethan, Alex's cousin, was even worse. With a smug smile and a glass of wine in his hand, he whispered just loud enough for Emily to hear, "Alex really enjoys unexpected pleasures." Emily clenched her hand, trying not to let the tears spill. Alex, sensing her tension, pulled her onto the dance floor. "Don't let them upset you," he whispered, his hand around her waist as they swayed to the waltz. His breath closed, the scent of sandalwood cologne made her forget the judging stares around them. "I don't care what they think," he said, his gaze intense. "I just want you here." Emily's heart wavered. "I want to believe him. But do I have the strength to stay in this world?" Then the nightmare began. A sharp voice rang out from behind. "Alex, when did you get so busy?" Victoria Langford stepped forward, alluring in a bright red dress, her eyes predatory. She glanced at Emily, a venomous smile on her lips. "And who is this, the newest in your list?" Emily felt her blood rush to her face, but before she could respond, another man appeared. David Klein, the blind date she had missed. He was drunk, slurring, "Emily, you ditched me for this guy, a rich guy." The crowd murmured, their eyes all on them. Emily panicked, her inner voice screaming, "What's happening? Why is he here?" She tried to explain, "David, I was at the wrong table, I didn't—" But David interrupted, his voice dripping with venom. "Don't pretend. You know who he is, don't you? You've been plotting from the start." Victoria interjected, her voice sweet but lethal. "Oh, Alex, you should be careful. Looks like this girl knows how to pick targets." She emphasized the last word, making the whole room chuckle. Emily felt like the floor was crumbling beneath her. Her inner world was a whirlwind. "They think I'm a gold digger. They don't know me, they don't know how hard I've tried." Tears welled up. She pushed Alex away, running through the crowd, the music and whispers chasing her like a nightmare. She dashed outside, the cold night air slapped her face, but it couldn't numb the pain in her heart. "Emily!" Alex's voice called out, chasing after her, grabbing her hand under the dim streetlight. "Don't leave. I don't care what they say." His eyes were burning, but Emily shook her head, tears streaming down. "You don't understand, Alex. I don't belong here. They're right. I'm just a waitress, and you are everything I'll never have." Her heart shattered. "I've dreamed too much. I'm not strong enough for this world." But Alex pulled her into his arms, his voice firm. "You are my world, Emily. I don't need them, I need you." His words were like a balm, but also like a knife, sweet but painful, because she didn't know if she could trust him. Then memories flooded back sharp and cruel. She remembered Rachel, a high school friend who had betrayed her out of jealousy. Rachel, who had spread rumors that Emily slept around to get good grades just because Emily won a scholarship that Rachel wanted. That pain, that betrayal, made Emily afraid to open her heart. If I trust Alex, will there be another Rachel? She thought, tears soaking his shirt. But Alex didn't let go. He hugged her tighter. I'll prove it, Emily. I won't leave you alone. They stood there in the cold night, the streetlight casting shadows of two figures like a sad painting. When Alex drove her home, Emily remained silent, her mind in turmoil. He kissed her forehead before leaving. Tomorrow I'll call. Don't let tonight scare you. She nodded, but when the door closed, she sat down on the floor, hugging her knees. Her inner voice was a wordless question. Do I dare to continue? Or is this just the beginning of a bigger pain? Somewhere in the city, Victoria Langford held a glass of wine, a cold smile on her lips, flipping through a photo album taken by a private investigator. She thinks she's won, she whispered. The game has just begun. The morning after the gala at the Grand Meridian, the pale sunlight filtered through the small apartment window of Emily Harper, but it wasn't strong enough to dispel the darkness that had engulfed her soul. She sat huddled on the old sofa, a cold cup of coffee in her hand, her eyes fixed on her phone. The messages from Alex Thorne the night before. Are you okay? I'll come by this morning, we need to talk. Still glowed on the screen, but she didn't dare reply. Emily's inner world was a storm, the shame from Victoria Langford's slander at the gala, the judging eyes of the crowd, and the slurred, drunken words of David Klein echoing like a knife. They think I'm a gold digger, she whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks. I've tried my whole life not to be like my father, yet they still see me this way. The memories of her father abandoning the family, leaving her and her mother with a mountain of debt, surged back sharp and painful. She remembered the nights her mother cried quietly, the debt letters shoved under the door, and how she had given up her college dream to work. I don't want Alex's money, she thought, her heart aching. But will he believe me? The doorbell rang, pulling Emily from her thoughts. It was Sarah Mitchell, her best friend, with a worried smile but trying to remain optimistic. Oh my God, Emily, you look like you've been run over by a truck, Sarah said, pulling her into a hug. Did you see the news? Emily shook her head, her heart sinking. Sarah handed her the phone showing an article from a tabloid online. The calculating waitress climbs into the billionaire's bed, the secret behind Emily Harper. The article, full of fabricated details, claimed that Emily had studied Alex from the start, had staged a fake engagement to get his money, and was even involved in a petty theft during her teenage years. All lies. Emily felt her blood drain from her face, her hands trembling as she dropped the phone. Who did this? She whispered, but deep down she already knew the answer, Victoria Langford. Her inner voice was a whirlwind. They don't just want to humiliate me, they want to destroy me. Sarah grabbed her hand, her voice determined. Don't let this trash get to you. Alex knows the truth, and so do I. But the comfort felt like a fleeting breeze. Emily stood up, stumbling through the apartment, her gaze drifting over the books on the shelf. The only friends who never judged her. I thought he was my destiny, she thought, remembering the kiss in the rain, the warmth from Alex, and the look in his eyes as if to say she was everything. But now she felt like a puppet in the game of the wealthy. I don't belong in that world. I was foolish to dream. The shift at Sally's diner that day was a nightmare. The moment Emily walked in, customers and co-workers alike stared at her, whispering behind her back. Lisa, the young co-worker, threw her an envious look. "Famous now, huh?" "Emily, but be careful. People don't like gold diggers." Martha, who always protected her, pulled her aside. "Don't pay attention to her, she's just jealous." "But the boss wants to speak with you." Emily's heart sank as her boss, Mr. Tony, called her into the office. With a regretful voice, he said, "Emily, you're doing a good job, but customers are gossiping. I can't keep you if this affects the business." She fought to hold back tears. "I didn't do anything wrong, Mr. Tony." He nodded, but his eyes were sad. "I know, but I have to think about the business." As she left the office, Emily felt like a part of herself had been lost. Her inner voice screamed, "They took away my job just because of lies." It didn't stop there. At Cornerstone Books, where she worked part-time, Mr. Patel, the kind manager, also called her in. "Emily, I'm really sorry," he said, handing her the article. "A regular customer, Mrs. Peterson, saw this article and asked if you were trustworthy. I have to temporarily let you go." Emily was stunned, as if the whole world was collapsing. The bookstore was where she found joy, where books like Jane Eyre and The Great Gatsby comforted her through tough times. "I've lost everything," she thought, tears rolling down her face as she left the store, clutching the last book she had in her hands, a well-worn Pride and Prejudice. As she stepped onto the street, Emily was suddenly surrounded by a group of paparazzi. Flashbulbs flashed and shouts rang out. "Emily, do you really love Alexander Thorne, or is it just for the money? Tell us about the fake engagement." She panicked, her heart racing, trying to push through the crowd. Sarah, like an angel saving her, appeared out of nowhere, pulling her into a narrow alley. "Run, Emily," Sarah shouted, and the two of them darted through the narrow streets, the sound of paparazzi footsteps chasing them like a pack of wolves. They stopped in a hidden corner, panting. Sarah laughed loudly, trying to lighten the mood. "Well, you just got a free marathon workout. Paparazzi sure make good trainers." Emily weakly smiled, but the tears kept falling. "Sarah, they're ruining my life. I didn't do anything wrong." Sarah hugged her. "I know, and Alex knows too. You need to talk to him." But when they returned to the apartment, an anonymous text appeared on her phone. "Stay away from Alex, or things will get worse." Emily trembled, her inner self a battlefield. Who's behind this, Victoria or someone else? She remembered a painful memory from high school. Her first boyfriend, Jason, who tricked her into borrowing money for tuition and then abandoned her when she found out he had used it for gambling. "I trusted people, and this is the result," she thought, the fear of opening her heart again surfacing. She wanted to call Alex, but her insecurity stopped her. What will he think when he sees these articles? Will he believe me? That night, Emily stayed at Sarah's, afraid to go back to her apartment because of the paparazzi. Sarah made tea, trying to comfort her. "You and Alex have something real, Emily. Don't let these lies destroy it." But when Sarah went to bed, Emily sat alone in the darkness, scrolling through the article again. Every word felt like a cut, gold digger, calculating, shadowy past. She remembered the long hours working, the sleepless nights to pay off her mother's medical debt, and the dream of a book cafe now seeming farther away than ever. "I don't deserve him," she thought, tears soaking her pillow. Then her phone buzzed. It was Alex. She hesitated, her finger hovering over the answer button, but in the end she pressed it. His voice came through, urgent and warm. "Emily, I just saw the article. I know it's all lies. I'm hiring a lawyer to deal with this. Where are you? I'll come right away." His words were like a breeze that somewhat cleared the darkness in her, but the fear still clung to her. "Alex, I don't know," she whispered. "I don't want to drag you into this." But Alex interrupted. "Emily, I love you. I won't let them hurt you. Let me be by your side." The word love from his mouth made her heart skip a beat. Her inner self wavered. He said he loves me. Is it true, or am I dreaming? She gave him Sarah's address, her voice trembling. "Okay, Alex, I need you." When she hung up, Emily hugged Sarah, who had just woken up at the sound of her voice. "You did the right thing," Sarah said, smiling. But in Emily's heart, one question still hung. Can I survive this storm, or will it wash everything away? Somewhere in the city, Victoria Langford sat in her luxurious office flipping through the new photos from the private investigator, a cold smile on her lips. "She thinks she can win," she whispered, her hand gripping her wine glass. "She hasn't seen anything yet." In the early morning, Sarah Mitchell's small apartment was filled with the soothing scent of chamomile tea brewed by her best friend to calm the troubled soul of Emily Harper. The weak sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting a soft glow on Emily's pale face, her eyes swollen and red from a sleepless night. The tabloid article, the slanderous words from Victoria Langford, and the anonymous threatening messages still spun in her mind like an unending whirlwind. Emily's inner world was a battlefield, the fear of losing everything, her job, her dreams, and even Alex Thorne, mixed with the faint spark of hope from last night's call. "I love you," he had said, his voice resolute like a promise. But would those words be enough to pull her out of this mess? "Do I deserve him?" she wondered, her fingers gripping the teacup, its warmth unable to chase away the chill in her heart. The doorbell rang, and Sarah rushed to open it, mumbling, "If it's paparazzi, I swear I'll throw my shoes at them." But it was Alex in a simple gray suit that still exuded power. He stepped inside, his deep brown eyes searching for Emily immediately. "Emily," he said, his voice deep and urgent. "Thank you for letting me come." She stood up, her legs trembling, her inner voice torn. "He's here, but can I face him?" Alex moved closer, taking her hand, the warmth from him, like a small flame warming her cold heart. "I've hired the best legal team," he said. "They're tracing the origin of the article. I know Victoria is behind it, and I won't let her win." Emily nodded, but her voice trembled. "Alex, I don't want you to get caught up in this. Your company, your reputation. I'm not worth you risking it." Alex shook his head, his gaze intense. "You're worth more than everything, Emily. I don't care about my reputation if you're not by my side." His words were like a sweet knife cutting through the thick self-doubt in her, but they also scared her more. "If I drag him down, I'll never forgive myself." Sarah, standing off to the side, winked. "Come on, you two, it's like you're in a romance movie. Now let's plan the counterattack." Emily weakly smiled, grateful for her friend's optimism. Alex pulled out a folder from his briefcase and spread it across the table. "This is the evidence," he said, his voice firm. "A recording from a former employee of Langford Industries confirms that Victoria hired someone to write the article and fabricate the details. Additionally, my detective found emails between her and a tabloid reporter." Emily looked at the documents, her heart racing. "She's ruthless," she whispered, her inner turmoil shifting between anger and fear. "But if we confront her, what will she do next?" Alex squeezed her hand tighter. "I'll meet with Edward Langford, Victoria's father, today. He's a major business partner, but if he doesn't rein in his daughter, I'll expose everything, even the fact that Langford Industries is hiding a massive debt." Emily was stunned. "You'll do that, but what about your company?" Alex smiled, but his eyes were resolute. The company is a tool, not my life. You are what matters. Emily's inner voice exploded. He's willing to risk everything for me, but if I'm the reason he loses it all, how can I live with that? In the afternoon, while Alex prepared for his meeting with Edward Langford, Emily decided to take action. She couldn't just sit and wait for others to protect her. Encouraged by Sarah, she picked up her phone and dialed Victoria directly. I have to face her. She thought, her heart pounding, but her voice trying to remain calm. Victoria answered, her voice sweet yet cold. Oh, Miss Harper, I'm surprised. Calling to beg. Emily took a deep breath, her voice firmer than she expected. No, I'm calling to say you've lost. I know you're behind the article, and Alex has proof. Stop, Victoria, before you destroy yourself. There was a pause on the other end. Then Victoria's cruel laugh echoed through the phone. You think you're so clever. Did you know Alex dated me before you came along? He chose me before you showed up, but I won't let you take him. Her words hit like a knife, leaving Emily stunned. Her inner world was in chaos. Alex and her, is it true? Am I lying to myself? She responded, her voice trembling, but determined. Say whatever you want, Victoria, but I'm not giving up. When she hung up, Emily covered her face, tears streaming down. If he ever liked her, what am I? She thought, doubt gnawing at her. Meanwhile, at Thorne Enterprises headquarters, Alex faced Edward Langford in a luxurious meeting room. Edward, a silver-haired man with hawk-like eyes, sat across from him, tapping his fingers rhythmically on the table. You're threatening me over a girl, Alexander. He asked, his voice low but authoritative. Alex pushed the documents across the table. This isn't a threat, it's the truth. Victoria has crossed the line. Pull the article or I'll expose everything, even the fact that your company is hiding a $200 million debt. Edward raised an eyebrow, but there was a flicker of worry in his gaze. You're playing a dangerous game, Thorne, Edward warned. Alex smiled coldly. I'm not playing games, Edward. I'm protecting the woman I love. Alex's inner voice was equally unsettled. I'm risking the whole company for Emily, but she's worth it. Finally, Edward nodded reluctantly. I'll handle Victoria. The article will be gone by tomorrow morning. Alex stood up, but his instincts told him Victoria wouldn't back down easily. That evening, Emily stayed at Sarah's house, but her heart felt heavy. She recalled the difficult days when her mother was ill, and she worked herself to the bone to pay off medical debts. I've always fought, she thought. I can't let Victoria take this happiness away. But Victoria's words about Alex still haunted her. He chose me first. She wanted to ask Alex, but feared the answer. Then a surprise happened. Elizabeth Thorne. Alex's mother called. Miss Harper. She said, her voice no longer cold as at the gala. I want to meet you. Just the two of us. Emily was stunned, her mind in turmoil. What does she want? Is she going to judge me again? They met at a small cafe, the soft light calming the tense atmosphere. Elizabeth, in an elegant silk dress, looked at Emily with unreadable eyes. I was wrong to judge you, she said, her voice deep. I thought you weren't good enough for Alex, but I've seen how he fights for you. I've never seen my son like this. Emily blinked, tears welling up. You don't know me, Mrs. Thorne, she replied, her voice trembling. I'm just a waitress, but I love him. Elizabeth smiled, a rare smile. I see now, and I want to apologize. That moment, like a beam of light through the darkness, made Emily feel a sense of relief. Her inner voice wavered. Maybe I'm not as alone as I thought. When Emily returned to Sarah's house, Alex was waiting. He hugged her, the warmth from him soothing her heart. "The article will be retracted," he said, "and I want you to move in with me. I want us to get through this together." Emily was stunned, her heart racing. "Live with him, am I ready?" She nodded, tears rolling down her face. "Okay, Alex. I want to try." They embraced under the soft light, but when it was time for bed, Emily's phone buzzed with an anonymous message. "You think you've won, Plan B is coming." Her heart went cold. "Victoria," she whispered, her inner world falling back into darkness. What more does she want? The early autumn sunlight sparkled through the large glass windows of the penthouse on the top floor of Thorn Tower, where Emily Harper stood amazed by the luxury space she was about to call home. The pristine white walls adorned with modern art, the gleaming walnut wood floors, and the panoramic view of the city spread out before her like a vibrant painting. But Emily's heart was in turmoil, as if she were stepping into a dream that didn't belong to her. Her inner voice spun, "Am I really here living with Alex? Will I be able to fit in?" Just a few days ago, she had been huddled in her small apartment, facing scandal and loss. Now, after Alex's victory in his confrontation with Edward Langford and the retraction of the tabloid article, she had agreed to move in with him, a bold move that excited and terrified her at the same time. "I want to believe in this happiness," she thought, clutching her small suitcase that held her entire life. Some clothes, old books, and a photo of her mother. Alex walked in from the kitchen, his white shirt rolled up at the sleeves, his smile brightening the room. "Welcome home, Emily," he said, his deep voice warm as he pulled her into a hug. The warmth from him, the familiar scent of sandalwood cologne soothed her, but doubt still lingered. "Thank you," she responded, her voice trembling slightly, her eyes scanning the vast room. "But are you sure I've brought nothing with me, just a few old books and clothes?" Alex laughed, taking her hand. "You brought yourself, and that's all I need." His words were like a warm breeze, but Emily's inner voice still wavered. "He says that, but can I live in this world, or will I always feel out of place?" They began decorating the penthouse to turn it into their shared home. Emily suggested adding a few potted plants, and Alex eagerly ran out to a nearby store, returning with a small cactus and a white orchid. "I thought you'd like this," he said, placing the cactus on the windowsill. Emily laughed out loud for the first time today, feeling a sense of relief. "Did you buy the cactus because you think I'm prickly?" Alex winked. "No, because it's strong like you." In that moment, they both laughed, and Emily felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe I can do this. Maybe this is where I belong. But happiness always comes with challenges. That evening, when they decided to cook together, a humorous disaster struck. Emily, confident with the pasta recipe her mother had taught her, failed to notice the oven was set to the wrong mode. The smell of burning filled the air, smoke poured out from the kitchen, and the fire alarm went off loudly. "Oh no!" Emily screamed frantically, waving a towel to clear the smoke. Alex laughed, rushed over to turn off the oven, then pulled her out of the kitchen. "Welcome to our era of kitchen disasters," he teased, hugging her from behind. Emily blushed, both embarrassed and laughing. "I'm a disaster, Alex," he kissed her hair. "The most adorable disaster I've ever met." Inside, she felt a surge of joy. With him, I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be myself. In that peaceful moment, Alex's childhood memories resurfaced. He remembered being alone as a child, sitting in the cold mansion, while his parents were busy with extravagant parties. "I used to think money could buy everything," he said, his voice low, his eyes gazing into the distance. "But then I met you, and I realized that all I truly wanted were moments like this." Emily held his hand, her heart moved. He's lonely too, just like me. Maybe we really do belong together. But the underlying challenge still loomed. The next morning, Elizabeth Thorne, Alex's mother, invited them both to dinner at the family's estate. Emily felt anxious, recalling her mother's cold stare at the gala. She apologized, she told herself, but her insecurity still clung. Does she really accept me? The dinner started with a tense atmosphere. Elizabeth, in a dark blue silk dress, appeared polite, but her gaze was still scrutinizing. Cousin Ethan, with his smug smile, didn't miss the opportunity to make a jab. So Emily, what are you going to do now that you don't have your job at the diner or the bookstore? Emily clenched her hand under the table, her inner voice screaming, "He thinks I'm a failure." But Alex intervened, his voice sharp. "Emily has bigger dreams than anyone in this room, and I'll help her achieve them." Elizabeth, surprised, smiled faintly. "I'm starting to see why my son chose you, Emily." Her words were like a warm breeze, making Emily feel accepted, if only a little. However, the shadow of Victoria Langford still lingered. When Emily checked her phone, she saw an anonymous email with the subject, "The Truth About Alex Thorne." Inside was an old photo, Alex and Victoria holding hands at an event, along with an article from 3 years ago about their potential relationship. Victoria's words from the previous call echoed in her head. "He chose me before you showed up." Emily's inner world was in turmoil. Did he really love her? Am I just the replacement? She wanted to ask Alex, but fear held her back. If I ask and it's true, will I be able to handle it? She thought, her hands trembling as she deleted the email. She decided to stay silent, but the seed of doubt had been planted. That night, as they lay on the sofa watching an old romantic film, Alex pulled her into his arms. "What are you thinking?" he asked, noticing her unusual silence. Emily smiled weakly. "Just, everything is changing so fast." She didn't dare mention the photo, but her inner voice was torn. "I want to believe in him, but Victoria won't stop. She's waiting for her chance." Alex kissed her forehead. "We'll get through everything, Emily. I promise." His words were sincere, but as the TV light dimmed, Emily felt a chill creep in. She remembered the difficult days when her mother was ill, and she worked herself to exhaustion. "I've always fought," she thought. "But this time, what am I fighting for, love? Or just another dream that will break?" When they went to bed, Emily's phone buzzed again with another anonymous message. "Enjoy the happiness while it lasts, because it won't last long." No number, no name, but Emily knew it was Victoria. Her heart went cold, and her inner world fell into darkness. What does she want now? What is plan B? She looked at Alex peacefully, asleep beside her, his face serene under the moonlight. "I can't lose him," she whispered, but the fear was like a snake coiling tightly around her heart. Somewhere in the city, Victoria sat in her lavish apartment, flipping through a new set of documents from a private investigator, a cold smile on her lips. "She thinks she's safe in Alex's arms," she whispered. "But I'm not done yet." The pale moonlight poured into Alex Thorne's penthouse, streaming through the large glass windows and casting a soft glow on Emily Harper's face as she sat on the sofa, hugging her knees, her gaze lost in the distance. The anonymous message from last night, "Enjoy the happiness while it lasts, because it won't last long," still echoed in her mind like a malicious curse. Emily's inner world was a sea of waves, the joy of living with Alex. The sweet moments like the humorous kitchen fire incident or the reconciliatory dinner with his mother, Elizabeth Thorne, were overshadowed by the darkness of Victoria Langford. The old photo of Alex and Victoria, along with her words, "He chose me first," planted seeds of doubt in her heart. Am I really the one he wants? She wondered, her fingers gripping the hem of her sweater, her heart pounding with fear over a truth she wasn't ready to face. This morning, Alex woke up early, unlike usual. He quietly got out of bed, leaving a small note on the pillow. "Come to the balcony for breakfast with me." Emily smiled, but the smile was fragile. She stepped out onto the balcony, where Alex had prepared a small table with croissants, coffee, and a bouquet of lilies, her favorite flower. He wore a simple white shirt, his hair slightly tousled by the wind, but his deep brown eyes were full of emotion. "Are you okay?" he asked, taking her hand. The warmth from him calmed her, but her inner turmoil remained. "I want to tell him about the photo about Victoria, but what if he gets angry? What if I destroy everything?" She nodded, her voice small. "I'm just a bit tired." Alex frowned, concerned but didn't press her. "Today will be special. I promise," he said, a mysterious smile making her heart beat faster. In the afternoon, Alex took her to a riverside park where they had walked on their first date. The yellow leaves fell gently, the chilly air carrying the scent of the river. They sat on a bench, Alex holding her hand, his voice low. "Emily, you've changed my life. I used to think I didn't need anyone, but then you came along with that smile, that dream." She blushed, her inner voice stirred. "He means it. But why am I still afraid?" Suddenly her phone buzzed. A call from an unknown number. She was about to decline, but Alex gestured. "Answer it. It might be important." She reluctantly picked up, and Victoria's voice came through cold as ice. "You think you're safe now? I have something that will make you regret interfering with Alex's life." Before Emily could respond, Victoria sent a message, a short video secretly filmed of her and Alex kissing in the rain on their first night together, with the caption, "Publicize this or walk away from him." Emily went pale, her heart racing. Her inner voice screamed, "She's been watching us from the start. What does she want now?" She turned to Alex, about to tell him, but he had already kneeled, holding a small ring box in his hand. "Emily Harper," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I want to spend my life protecting you, loving you. Will you marry me?" Time seemed to stop. His gaze was sincere, the diamond ring sparkling in the sunlight. But in Emily's mind, the video and Victoria's threats felt like a nightmare. Her inner world was chaotic. He's proposing. This is a dream. But if Victoria publicizes the video, everything will fall apart. She trembled, tears streaming down her face. "Alex, I love you. But there's something I need to say." She told him about the video, the message, her voice choked. "She won't stop. I don't want you to be hurt because of me." Alex held her hand, his gaze resolute. "Victoria can't touch us. I'll handle it. Just say yes." Emily looked into his eyes, seeing the whole world in them. "Yes," she whispered, and he slid the ring onto her finger, pulling her into a deep kiss, as if wanting to chase away all the darkness. But the fleeting joy was shattered when a familiar figure appeared from afar. Rachel, an old high school friend who had betrayed Emily out of jealousy. Rachel, with her red-dyed hair and forced smile, walked up Emily. "It's been a while." Emily froze, her inner voice flashing with painful memories. Rachel had spread false rumors to steal the scholarship that Emily had earned. "What are you doing here?" Emily asked, her voice cold. Rachel looked at Alex, then turned to her. "I need to talk to you privately." Alex frowned but nodded. "I'll be nearby." As he left, Rachel lowered her voice. "Victoria contacted me. She paid me to reveal that you borrowed money from me to pay off your mother's medical debt and didn't repay it all." Emily felt her blood drain from her face. That's a lie, she shouted, her inner voice boiling. I paid it all back, even though she abandoned me, Rachel shrugged. Victoria has the money. She wants me to say you still owe to make you look like a fraud. Emily clenched her fists, fury rising. You betrayed me once, Rachel. There won't be a second time. She turned away, but Rachel called out. You can't escape Victoria, Emily. Her inner world was in turmoil. She was my friend, once my friend. Why do people keep betraying me? She returned to Alex, telling him everything, her voice shaking. He hugged her, his voice firm. Rachel or Victoria, no one can tear us apart. I'll hire someone to investigate Rachel. She won't win. Emily nodded, but the pain still gripped her. I trusted Rachel before, and now it's Victoria. Am I being blind with Alex? That night in the penthouse, they had dinner by candlelight, but the atmosphere was heavier than usual. Emily looked at the ring on her finger, the diamond sparkling like a promise, but also a burden. You dated Victoria, didn't you? She asked, her voice small, finally facing the fear. Alex froze, then nodded, yes, but only a few times 3 years ago. She wanted me for my name, not for me. When I met you, I knew you were the one. His words were sincere, but Emily still felt a small crack. I want to believe, but why is it so hard? She smiled weakly. I trust you. It's just, I'm afraid of losing you. Alex pulled her into his arms. You won't lose me. I promise. But when they went to bed, another email arrived from an anonymous number. Congrats on your engagement. But Rachel is just the beginning. Emily trembled, her inner world sinking into darkness. What is Victoria's plan B? She won't stop. She looked at Alex peacefully, sleeping beside her, his face serene under the moonlight. I have to be strong, she whispered, determined to rise. I won't let her destroy this happiness. Somewhere in the city, Victoria sat in her lavish apartment, flipping through a new stack of documents from a private investigator, a cold smile on her lips. She thinks a ring will save her, she whispered. Plan B will end it all. The sun cast its slanted shadows on the beach at Serenity Cove, where the waves gently lapped at the shore, and the breeze carried the salty scent of the ocean. Emily Harper stood in front of the mirror in a small room hastily set up near the beach, the pristine white wedding dress clinging to her body, shimmering in the soft light. The dress was a gift from Elizabeth Thorne, Alex's mother, with intricate embroidery as a sign that she had fully accepted her. But as Sarah Mitchell, her best friend, adjusted the veil on Emily's hair, Emily felt her heart race not only because of the happiness, but also due to an invisible fear. Her inner world was a swirling river. Today is my wedding day. I'm about to become Alex's wife. But why do I still feel like something is lurking? The anonymous message from last night. Rachel is just the beginning. And the ghost of Victoria Langford still haunted her like a dark cloud hanging over the bright sky. Sarah, with her radiant smile and explosive energy, pulled her out of her thoughts. Oh my gosh. Emily, you look like a goddess. Alex will fall to his knees when he sees you. She winked deliberately, dropping the comb to make her laugh. Emily laughed, but the smile was fragile. Do you think everything will be all right, Sarah? She asked, her voice small, her eyes filled with worry. Sarah took her hand, her voice firm. You've overcome scandals, paparazzi, and even Victoria. Today is your day, no one can take that away. But Emily's inner voice still struggled. I want to believe that. But Victoria has never given up. What's her plan? But memories suddenly surged, vivid like a painting. Emily remembered her childhood, when she dreamed of a wedding, imagining her father, the man who had abandoned her, walking her down the aisle. Her father, with his faint smile in her memory, had disappeared when she was 12, leaving her mother with debts and a broken heart. Would he be proud? She thought, tears silently rolling down her cheeks. Sarah noticed and wiped away the tear. "Hey, don't cry. You'll ruin your makeup. Your father isn't here, but your mom, Alex, and I are here for you." Emily nodded, took a deep breath. "I know, I just want everything to be perfect." The beach was decorated like a dream, white silk ribbons fluttering in the breeze, lilies and white roses arranged in arches and satin-covered chairs for the guests, glistening in the sun. Alex stood at the end of the aisle in a black tuxedo, his deep brown eyes searching for her the moment she stepped out. The violin music played softly, like the ocean waves, and as Emily walked towards him, Sarah holding her hand in place of her father, she felt like the whole world was reduced to just him. Her inner voice stirred, "He is everything. No matter what happens, I won't lose him." Alex took her hand and whispered, "You're more beautiful than my wildest dreams." She blushed, her heart pounding. "You're just as amazing." The ceremony took place as a fusion of two worlds, the grandeur of the Thorne family and Emily's simplicity. Elizabeth, sitting in the front row, smiled warmly, a stark contrast to her earlier cold gaze. Cousin Ethan, still wearing a smug smile, clapped politely. Sarah, as maid of honor, didn't miss the chance to tease Ethan, whispering something that made him blush. A humorous moment that made the guests laugh aloud. Mrs. Peterson, a regular at Cornerstone Books, was also present, hugging Emily before the ceremony. "You're our pride, Emily." But amid the joy, Emily couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. She glanced at the crowd, searching for the shadow of Victoria, even though Alex had assured her that she wasn't invited. She won't show up right, she thought, but the fear still clung to her. When they exchanged vows, Alex's voice trembled with emotion. "Emily, you've shown me what true love is. I promise to protect you, love you, no matter how the world turns." "Emily," with tears streaming down, responded Alex, "you are my home. I promise to stand by you through any storm." They exchanged rings, and when the priest declared them husband and wife, Alex pulled her into a deep kiss, causing the guests to clap joyously. Inside, Emily's world exploded. "I'm his wife. This is real." But as they walked down the aisle, a figure appeared at the edge of the beach, standing far away in a black dress. Emily froze, her heart racing Victoria. But as she looked closely, the figure turned and disappeared into the crowd. "Am I imagining things?" she thought, but the bad feeling wouldn't leave. The wedding reception took place in a large tent by the beach, with twinkling lanterns and soft jazz music. Sarah, full of energy, pulled Ethan onto the dance floor, making everyone laugh as he awkwardly tried to keep up with the rhythm. Elizabeth came up to Emily, took her hand. "You've made my son happy." "Thank you, Emily." Her words were like a warm breeze soothing Emily's lingering insecurities. "Thank you for giving me the chance," Emily replied, her voice choked. Inside, her heart wavered. "I've been accepted. Maybe I truly belong here." But the peaceful moment was shattered when a server with an awkward expression handed Emily an envelope. "Someone sent this to you," he said, then disappeared. Emily opened the envelope, her hands trembling. Inside was a note. "Congratulations on the wedding. But don't forget, I'm still watching." No signature, but the curved handwriting could only belong to Victoria. Emily's heart froze and her inner world sank into darkness. She won't give up. What's her plan B? She hid the note, not wanting to ruin the wedding day, but her gaze wandered. Alex noticed, pulling her aside. "Are you all right?" She nodded, forcing a weak smile. "I'm just a bit emotional." She didn't dare tell him, fearing to make him worry, but inside she screamed, "I can't let her ruin this happiness." The wedding continued, and when they cut the cake, Alex intentionally smeared cream on Emily's nose, making her laugh loudly, forgetting her fear for a moment. They danced their first dance under the lanterns, their bodies entwined, as if there was no one else in the world. "I love you, Mrs. Thorne," Alex whispered, making Emily blush. "I love you too, Mr. Thorne." But when they returned to the dinner table, Sarah pulled her aside. Her voice worried Emily. "I saw someone lingering near the tent. I'm not sure, but it looked like Victoria." Emily's face went pale, her inner world in turmoil. Is she really here, or am I imagining it? She looked at Alex, who was chatting with the guests, and decided not to say anything. Today is our day, she told herself, trying to push the fear down. When night fell, they left the wedding reception to begin their honeymoon. In the hotel room by the beach, Alex pulled her into his arms, kissing her gently. "We did it," he said, his eyes shining. Emily nodded, but when he fell asleep, she sat by the window looking out at the ocean. The memory of her father resurfaced. He had abandoned her, but today she had found a new family. "I won't let Victoria take this away," she whispered, determined to rise. But in the darkness, a new message came. "This happiness won't last." Emily shuddered, but this time she deleted the message immediately. "I'm Emily Thorne," she thought, clenching her fist, "and I will fight." In a far corner of the city, Victoria sat in her car looking at their wedding photos online, a cold smile on her lips. "They think they've won," she whispered. "Plan B will make them regret it." The sun had just risen on the horizon, casting a golden glow on the sea at Serenity Cove, where Emily Thorne, now carrying her husband's last name, stood on the hotel balcony, her black hair flying in the salty breeze. The honeymoon had passed like a dream, with long days spent with Alex, laughing on the beach, sharing their deepest wishes, and loving each other under the moonlight. But this morning, as she looked at the sparkling diamond ring on her finger, her heart was still a sea of waves, overflowing happiness, intertwined with lingering worry. Victoria Langford's last message, "This happiness won't last," still lingered in her mind like a ghost, even though she had deleted it on the wedding night. "I am Emily Thorne," she whispered, gripping the balcony railing, determined to rise. "I won't let her take this happiness away." But deep down, she knew that Victoria, with her cold smile and mysterious plan B, was still waiting for an opportunity. Alex stepped out onto the balcony, wrapping his arms around her from behind, his warmth dispelling the chill of the early morning. "You've been deep in thought this morning," he said, his voice warm, kissing her lightly on the hair. Emily turned around, smiling, but her eyes betrayed her worry. "It's just, I've been thinking about everything. About us, about the future." She paused, torn inside. Should I tell him about Victoria's message, or should I stay silent to protect today? Lex took her hand, his deep brown eyes seemingly seeing right through her. "You're worried about Victoria, aren't you?" he asked, his voice gentle but firm. Emily froze, her heart racing. "How did you know?" He smiled sadly. "I know she hasn't given up, but I've hired someone to follow her. Victoria won't be able to do anything anymore. Today, I want you to just think about us." His words were like a warm breeze, easing some of the darkness inside her. They went back inside, where a simple breakfast with toast and orange marmalade had been prepared. Emily laughed when she saw Alex awkwardly trying to cut the bread. just like the time they had burnt the kitchen at the penthouse. "You really didn't learn anything from that, huh?" she teased, and they both laughed, a simple moment full of meaning. Her inner voice resonated. This is real happiness. Not money or fame, but these moments. But as she gazed out at the sea, the memory of her father, the man who abandoned her and her mother with debts, resurfaced. I've moved past the past, she thought. But can I leave it behind forever? They returned to the city after the honeymoon, and Alex took her to a big surprise, a small building in the center, with a sleek glass front and a sign being erected, Harper's Haven, Book Cafe. Emily froze, tears welling up, as she realized this was the dream of her life. A place where children could read books for free, drink hot cocoa, and get help with their homework. Alex, when did you do this? She asked, her voice choked. He smiled. I started when you told me about this dream. I want you to see that you don't have to give up anything when you're with me. She ran into his arms, tears soaking his shirt. Her inner voice exploded. I don't just have him, I also have my dream. This is real. The grand opening of Harper's Haven took place a week later, with an atmosphere as lively as a festival. Sarah Mitchell, in her self-appointed role as unofficial event coordinator, ran around ensuring everything was perfect. Mrs. Peterson from Cornerstone Books arrived bringing a box of old books to donate. Elizabeth Thorne appeared in an elegant silk dress, hugging Emily and whispering, I'm proud of you. Even Ethan Alex's cousin showed up with a smile less smug than usual. Children from the neighborhood rushed in, their eyes lighting up when they saw the colorful bookshelves and smelled the fragrant cocoa. Emily stood in the middle of the cafe, reading a story aloud to the kids, feeling like her heart was soaring. This is where I belong, she thought, her eyes glancing at Alex, who was watching her with pride. But amid the joy, a familiar figure appeared at the cafe door. Rachel, an old high school friend. Emily stiffened, memories of painful betrayal flashing through her mind. Rachel had once teamed up with Victoria to frame her. Rachel. Emily said, her voice cold, stepping forward to face her. Rachel, with her red-dyed hair and apologetic eyes, raised her hand as if to soothe her. Emily, I'm here to apologize, she said, her voice trembling. Victoria pressured me to lie about the debt. I was wrong. I've been jealous of you since high school. You've always been stronger than me. Emily froze, her inner voice torn. Should I believe her, or is this another trick? She looked at Rachel, seeing tears in her eyes, and a part of her softened. I forgive you, Rachel, she said, her voice firm. But if you hurt me again, there won't be a third chance. Rachel nodded and turned away, and Emily felt a weight lift off her. I can't hold on to grudges forever, she thought. I have to move on. But the ghost of Victoria still lingered. That evening at the penthouse, as Emily and Alex prepared to celebrate the opening with a romantic dinner, a package arrived. Inside was a USB drive and a note Plan B. Watch this, Emily Thorne. Emily's heart froze, her inner world in turmoil. She won't stop. She shakily handed the USB to Alex and they plugged it into the computer. A video appeared. Not the kissing scene in the rain she feared, but a recording of Victoria's voice speaking to an unknown person. I tried to break them, but she's stronger than I thought. Now she wins. The video ended with an image of Victoria leaving the city, her suitcase in tow. Alex held her hand. She's given up, Emily. We've won. But Emily didn't feel victorious. Her inner world wavered. Did she really give up, or is this just one final trick? Alex pulled her into his arms, kissing her forehead. We've been through everything. Now it's time to live for ourselves. Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face, but this time they were tears of happiness. She remembered her journey from a waitress with a distant dream to Alex Thorne's wife, and now the owner of a bookstore cafe. "I've found my home," she thought, looking into his eyes. But as they went to bed, she looked out the window, seeing the twinkling city lights. A question passed through her mind. Is this the end or just the beginning? At a distant airport, Victoria boarded a plane, a faint smile on her lips. "She thinks she's won," she whispered, clutching her ticket. "But life is long." Even so, she knew this time she had lost, not because of Emily, but because of her own obsession. As for Emily and Alex's arms, she dreamed of the days ahead where Harper's Haven would grow, and their love would endure like the waves of the sea. "Eternal happiness," she whispered, and for the first time she believed it.